Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the broken fusion generator. The ship's engine room was hot and smelled like burned metal. He had been working on this problem for 3 hours, but the generator still would not start properly. Jake was good at fixing things. He had been the chief engineer on the Phoenix Dawn for 2 years now, and he could repair almost anything that broke on the ship. "Jake, you need to see this," Captain Lisa Hayes called over the comm system. Her voice sounded excited and worried at the same time. Jake put down his tools and walked to the bridge. The other crew members were all staring at the main screen. What Jake saw made him stop and stare too. There was something huge floating in space ahead of them. It looked like a small moon, but it was clearly not natural. The object was covered in strange crystalline plates that caught the light from the nearby star. Some of the plates were cracked and broken, and Jake could see dark holes where pieces had fallen away. "What is that thing?" Jake asked. "We don't know," Captain Hayes replied. "Our sensors say it's about 50 kilometers wide. It's made of materials we've never seen before. The strange part is that it's giving off energy readings. Whatever it is, it's not completely dead." Dr. Aaron Blake, the ship's science officer, looked up from his console. "The energy patterns are unlike anything in our databases. This technology is far more advanced than anything humans have ever built. It could be thousands of years old." Jake moved closer to the screen. As an engineer, he could see that the object was badly damaged. Huge sections of the outer shell were missing, and he could see twisted metal and broken structures inside. But there were also lights flickering deep within the object, like a heartbeat that refused to stop. "Captain," Jake said, "I think this thing was in a battle. Look at those scorch marks on the hull. Something hit it hard, but it survived." Kate Sullivan, the security officer, crossed her arms. "If it survived one battle, it might be dangerous. We should stay away from it." But Jake was already thinking like an engineer. Or maybe it needs help. Those energy readings could mean there's someone alive in there. Captain Hayes looked at the readings on her screen. "Our long-range scanners are picking up what might be life signs? They're very weak, but they're there." She thought for a moment. "I'm going to send a small team to investigate. Jake, I want you to lead it. Take Dr. Blake and Kate with you." An hour later, Jake was sitting in the small shuttlecraft heading toward the mysterious object. Dr. Blake was running every scan he could think of, while Kate checked her weapons for the 3rd time. Jake was studying the engineering readouts, trying to understand how something so damaged could still be generating power. "The hull is definitely artificial," Dr. Blake said, "but there are organic components mixed in with the metal. It's like someone built a machine that's also alive." As they got closer, Jake could see that the object was even more damaged than it had appeared from the Phoenix Dawn. Entire sections had been torn away, revealing corridors and chambers inside. But the most amazing thing was that some of those corridors were still lit. "There's an opening we can use," Jake said, pointing to a large hole in the side of the structure. "The shuttle should fit through there." Kate looked nervous. "Are you sure this is safe? We don't know what's inside that thing." "The only way to find out is to go look," Jake replied. They flew the shuttle through the opening and found themselves in a vast chamber. The walls were covered in the same crystalline material as the outside, but here it glowed with a soft blue light. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with energy. "The atmosphere is breathable," Dr. Blake announced. "Whatever built this place made sure it could support life." Jake landed the shuttle, and the 3 of them stepped out into the alien chamber. The floor felt solid under their feet, but Jake noticed that it seemed to pulse slightly, as if there was something alive beneath it. The walls curved away into darkness, and Jake could hear a low humming sound coming from deeper in the structure. "This way," Jake said, following the sound. His engineer's instincts told him that the humming was coming from some kind of power source. They walked through corridors that seemed to go on forever. The walls were covered in patterns that looked like circuit boards, but they moved and shifted as Jake watched them. It was like walking through the inside of a giant computer that was also a living thing. "The energy readings are getting stronger," Dr. Blake said. Whatever is generating power in this place, we're getting close to it. After walking for 20 minutes, they came to a massive chamber. In the center of the room was something that made all three of them stop and stare. It was clearly alive, but it was also clearly not human. The being was tall and slender, with skin that looked like it was made of crystal. Energy flowed through tubes and wires that connected it to the walls and ceiling of the chamber. "Is it alive?" Kate whispered. Jake moved closer. The being's eyes were closed and its breathing was very slow. Cables and wires ran from its body to panels on the walls, and many of those cables were sparking or completely broken. "It's hurt," Jake said. "Look at all those damaged connections. This thing is part of the ship, but the ship is part of it too. They need each other to survive." Dr. Blake was scanning the being with his medical equipment. "Life signs are very weak. Whatever this is, it's barely alive. It's been like this for a long time." Jake looked around the chamber. As an engineer, he could see what had happened. This place had been attacked, and the being in the center had been badly hurt. But someone or something had tried to keep it alive by connecting it to the ship's systems. "We need to help it," Jake said. Kate shook her head. "Jake, we don't know what this thing is. It could be dangerous." "Look at it," Jake replied. "It's dying. And if it dies, this whole place might die with it." Jake had always been the kind of person who fixed things. When he saw something broken, he had to try to repair it. It did not matter if it was a broken toaster or an alien being he had never seen before. His hands were already reaching for his tools. "I'm going to try to fix those connections," Jake said. "Maybe we can help it wake up." Jake pulled his repair kit from his belt and knelt beside the crystalline being. The damaged cables were sparking with energy, and he could smell something like ozone in the air. Dr. Blake and Kate watched nervously as Jake examined the connections. "This is insane," Kate said. "We should contact the captain and get permission first." "There's no time," Jake replied. "Look at those readings. This thing is dying right now. If we wait, it might be too late." Jake had spent his whole life fixing things. He had started as a child, taking apart broken toys and putting them back together. Later, he had worked on cars, then spaceships, and now he was looking at technology that was thousands of years old. But to Jake, a broken machine was a broken machine. No matter who had built it, the first thing Jake did was trace the damaged cables to see where they led. Some went to panels on the walls, others disappeared into the floor. Many of the cables were completely severed, their ends sparking uselessly in the air. Jake could see that the being's life support systems were failing one by one. "Hand me that portable power cell," Jake said to Dr. Blake. "I need to give this thing some extra power while I work." Jake connected his human power cell to one of the alien cables using a piece of wire and some electrical tape. It was not a perfect connection, but it worked. The being's breathing became a little stronger, and some of the lights on the walls grew brighter. "It's working," Dr. Blake said, looking at his scanner. "The life signs are getting stronger," Jake smiled. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. He began working on the damaged cables, using his welding torch to repair the broken connections. The alien technology was different from anything he had ever seen, but electricity was electricity, and energy was energy. As Jake worked, something strange began to happen. He started to see flashes of images in his mind. At first, he thought he was just tired, but the images became clearer. He saw vast fleets of ships moving through space, and beings like the one in front of him standing on the bridges of those ships. He saw battles fought across entire star systems, with weapons that could destroy planets. "Are you okay?" Kate asked. "You look pale?" Jake wiped his forehead. "I'm fine, just tired." But he was not fine. The images in his mind were becoming more detailed. He could see the crystalline beings, hundreds of them, standing guard over different worlds. They were protectors, watching for something dangerous that moved through the darkness between stars. Jake continued working. He spliced human cables into the alien system, using his knowledge of electronics to bridge the gap between the two technologies. Some of the connections worked perfectly, others required creative solutions. Jake jury-rigged power couplers and Rewired control circuits, treating the alien technology like a very complex puzzle. Hours passed. Jake's hands were burned from electrical discharges, and his back ached from bending over the cables. But he kept working. Every connection he repaired made the being's life signs stronger. The lights in the chamber grew brighter, and Jake could hear the humming sound getting louder. "The energy output is increasing," Dr. Blake reported. "Whatever you're doing, it's working." Jake was now seeing the images more clearly. He watched as the crystalline beings fought a desperate battle against something terrible. Their enemies were not like any life form he had ever seen. They were creatures of pure energy that fed on the life force of entire worlds. When they consumed a planet, they left nothing behind, not even empty rock. "The Devourers," Jake said without thinking. "What?" Kate asked. Jake shook his head. "Nothing. I'm just thinking out loud." But Jake was not just thinking. Somehow the alien being was sharing its memories with him. He could see the last great battle when the Devourers had finally broken through the Guardians' defenses. The crystalline beings had fought bravely, but they had been outnumbered. One by one, their ships had been destroyed and their worlds had been consumed. Jake worked through the night. Tate and Dr. Blake took turns sleeping, but Jake never stopped. He could not stop. Something was driving him to complete the repairs, as if the being was calling to him for help. As dawn approached on the Phoenix Dawn, Jake made the final connection. He joined two major power cables together, and suddenly the entire chamber filled with light. The walls pulsed with energy, and the alien symbols began to glow. The humming sound became a song, beautiful and haunting. The crystalline being's eyes opened. Jake stepped back, exhausted but amazed. The being looked at him with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. When it spoke, Jake heard the words not with his ears but in his mind. "You have saved me," the being said. "I am Keeper Valdris, Guardian of the Outer Rim. I have been sleeping for 700 years, waiting for someone who could repair the damage done by the Devourers." Kate raised her weapon, but Jake held up his hand. "Wait, it's not dangerous. It's trying to communicate." Valdris struggled to sit up. The cables and wires that connected it to the chamber flexed and moved like living things. "You are not of my kind, yet you have the gift. You are what we call Keeper Touched, one who can understand and repair our technology." Jake felt dizzy. "I just fixed some broken cables. I'm just an engineer." "You are much more than that," Valdris said. "Your people call you human, yes. But you have done something that has not been done in 7 centuries. You have awakened a guardian." The chamber around them began to change. Panels slid open in the walls, revealing complex machinery that had been hidden. Lights came on throughout the vast structure, and Jake could hear the sound of systems activating everywhere. "What's happening?" Dr. Blake asked. "The station is coming back to life," Valdris explained, "and with it, the network begins to awaken. You have done more than save one guardian human. You have sent a signal across the galaxy that will wake others who have been sleeping." Jake looked around the chamber as more lights came on. "How many others are there?" "Once there were thousands of us," Valdris said. "The Devourers destroyed most of our kind, but some survived. They have been sleeping, waiting for the network to call them back to life. Your repairs have begun that process." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "And what happens when they wake up?" Valdris looked at him with ancient, sad eyes. "Then we prepare for war. The signal that awakens the Guardians will also alert our enemies. The Devourers will know that we have returned, and they will come to finish what they started centuries ago." Jake realized that his simple act of fixing broken cables had changed everything. He had not just saved one alien being. He had started something that could affect the entire galaxy. Jake stared at Valdris as the Guardian slowly stood up. The crystalline being was much taller than a human, almost 3 meters high. Its body was beautiful and frightening at the same time. Energy flowed through its transparent skin like liquid light, and its eyes glowed with ancient knowledge. "You said I'm Keeper Touched?" Jake said. "What does that mean?" Valdris moved carefully, testing the connections that linked it to the station. Long ago, when the first builders created us, they knew we would need partners. Beings who could think in ways we could not. We Guardians are made to last forever, to stand watch for thousands of years. But we cannot change or grow. We need others to help us adapt. Dr. Blake was recording everything on his scanner. First builders? Who were they? The race that came before all others, Valdris explained. They built the Guardian network to protect the galaxy from threats that come from beyond the stars. Then they left this plane of existence, ascending to something greater. They left us to carry on their work. Jake looked around the chamber. More systems were coming online every minute. Screens were lighting up on the walls showing star maps and data streams that hurt his eyes to look at. How many Guardian stations are there? Once there were 10,000 of us, Valdris said. Each Guardian watched over a sector of space, connected to all the others through the network. We shared knowledge instantly across the galaxy. We were the shield that protected all life from the darkness. Kate lowered her weapon but kept it ready. What happened to the others? Valdris's expression grew sad. The Devourers came. They are not like any life, you know. They exist partly in normal space and partly in dimensions you cannot imagine. They feed on the life energy of entire worlds, consuming not just the bodies of the living, but their souls as well. Jake felt a chill. The visions he had seen during the repair work were becoming clearer in his memory. I saw them in your memories. They looked like shadows with teeth. That is one way to describe them, Valdris agreed. The war lasted for centuries. We fought them from star to star, but they were too many. One by one, my brothers and sisters fell. Their stations were destroyed, their worlds consumed. I was among the last to fall. But you survived, Dr. Blake said. Barely, Valdris replied. My station was badly damaged, my body nearly destroyed. I had two choices, die fighting or enter deep sleep and hope that someday someone would find me and repair the damage. I chose to sleep. Jake walked over to one of the wall screens. The display showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of tiny lights scattered across it. Most of the lights were dark, but as Jake watched, a few began to flicker and glow. Are those other Guardian stations? Jake asked. Yes, Valdris said. The signal you created by repairing my systems is reaching across the galaxy. Other Guardians are beginning to wake up, but there are far fewer than there once were. Perhaps 100 survive, scattered across the outer rim. Jake studied the map. That's not very many to protect an entire galaxy. No, Valdris agreed. But it is more than there were yesterday, and now we have something we did not have before. What's that? Valdris looked at Jake with those ancient, glowing eyes. We have a keeper touched, someone who can repair our technology, improve our systems, and help us adapt to new threats. In all our history, we have never found a human who could interface with our network. Jake felt something strange happening in his mind. It was as if doors were opening in his thoughts, revealing rooms he had never known existed. He could suddenly understand the symbols on the walls, and the data streams on the screens began to make sense. What's happening to me? Jake asked. The network is accepting you, Valdris explained. Your mind is being linked to our systems. You will be able to access our knowledge, control our technology, and communicate with other Guardians across the galaxy. Dr. Blake looked worried. Is this safe? We don't know what this could do to a human brain. Jake is stronger than you think, Valdris said. His people come from a death world. They are survivors, fighters, builders. These qualities make him an ideal partner for the Guardian network. Jake could feel the connection growing stronger. Information flowed into his mind, but it did not hurt. Instead, it felt like coming home. He could see the other awakening Guardians scattered across distant stars. He could feel their joy at finding the network active again after so many centuries of silence. There's something else, Jake said. I can sense something dark moving at the edge of the galaxy. Something that felt the signal too, Valdris nodded grimly. The Devourers. They thought we were all dead, but now they know we have returned. They will come to finish what they started. How long do we have? Kate asked. Jake closed his eyes and reached out through the network. The sensation was like touching ice. Far away, at the very edge of known space, things that should not exist were stirring. Scout ships made of living shadow were already moving, searching for the source of the Guardian signal. 6 months, Jake said. Maybe less. Then we must prepare, Valdris said. The network must be fully awakened. The surviving Guardians must be repaired and brought back to full strength, and your people must be warned. Jake looked at his companions. We need to get back to the ship. The captain needs to know what's happening. I will come with you, Valdris said. My station is mobile. I can move it to your ship's location. Wait, Dr. Blake said. You're talking about moving something the size of a small moon. Size is not the problem, Valdris replied. My station has been drifting in space for centuries. Moving it is simply a matter of activating the drive systems that Jake has repaired. Jake felt the station beginning to move beneath his feet. Through the network, he could control the massive structure as easily as flying a shuttle. It was an amazing feeling, like being connected to something vast and powerful. Jake, Kate said, are you sure about this? You're changing, becoming something different. Jake looked at her and smiled. I'm still me. I'm just more than I was before. And right now, that might be exactly what the galaxy needs. As the Guardian station moved through space toward the Phoenix Dawn, Jake could feel other Guardians awakening across the galaxy. The network was coming back to life, and with it, hope for all the worlds that would soon face the returning darkness. But Jake also knew that the real work was just beginning. The Devourers were coming, and this time the galaxy would need more than just Guardians to survive. It would need the stubborn determination of humanity, the species that never knew when to give up. The Phoenix Dawn looked tiny next to Valdris's massive station. Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge, staring at the alien structure that had appeared next to her ship. She had received Jake's message about the Guardian, but seeing it in person was something else entirely. Captain, her communications officer called out, we're getting a transmission from Jake. He's requesting permission to bring the alien aboard. Absolutely not, Kate said over the comm. That thing is dangerous. It's not dangerous, Jake replied. Valdris is here to help us. We need to show the crew what we're dealing with. Captain Hayes made her decision. Jake, bring your new friend to the main conference room. But Kate, I want security teams on standby. An hour later, Jake walked into the conference room followed by Valdris. The Guardian had to duck to fit through the doorway, and its crystalline body filled the room with soft light. The senior officers of the Phoenix Dawn sat around the table, staring at the alien being with mixtures of wonder and fear. This is Keeper Valdris, Jake said. It's been protecting the galaxy for thousands of years. Dr. Blake activated his recording equipment. Captain, this is the most important discovery in human history. This being has knowledge that could advance our technology by centuries. And it's also brought us a war, Kate added. According to Jake, these Devourer things are coming to kill us all. Valdris spoke, its voice echoing in everyone's minds. Your officer is correct. The Devourers will come. They have been waiting in the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge, and now they know the Guardian network is active again. Captain Hayes leaned forward. How many ships are we talking about? Ships are not the right word, Valdris explained. The Devourers are living creatures that can survive in space. They travel in swarms of millions, consuming everything in their path. When they finish with a world, nothing remains. Not even the memory of what was there? Jake felt the network pulsing in his mind. More Guardian stations were coming online every hour, but we're not helpless. The Guardian network is awakening. There are still nearly 100 stations scattered across the galaxy. 100 against millions, Kate said. Those are not good odds. We have something the Guardians never had before, Jake said. We have humans. Valdris turned to look at Jake. Your species is unique. In all our centuries of watching the galaxy, we have never encountered a race quite like yours. You come from a world that tried to kill you every day, yet you survived. You are builders, fighters, and most importantly, you never give up. Dr. Blake was taking notes as fast as he could. What exactly are you proposing? A partnership, Valdris said. The Guardian network needs to be rebuilt, but it also needs to be improved. Jake has already shown that human technology can work with our systems. Together, we can create defenses that are stronger than either of us could build alone. Captain Hayes stood up. I need to contact Earth Command. This is way beyond my authority. There is no time, Valdris warned. The Devourers have already sent scout ships. They will arrive in this sector within weeks, not months. By the time your leaders make their decisions, it will be too late. Jake could feel the truth of Valdris's words through the network. The dark ships were moving faster than expected, drawn by the Guardian signal like hunters following a scent. Captain, we need to start now. I can teach our engineers how to work with Guardian technology. We can upgrade our ships, our weapons, everything. And if we refuse, Captain Hayes asked, then your species will be consumed along with everything else, Valdris said simply. The Devourers do not negotiate. They do not take prisoners. They eat until there is nothing left to eat. Over the next several days, the Phoenix Dawn became the center of the most important project in human history. Jake worked with Valdris to teach human engineers how to interface with Guardian technology. It was not easy. The alien systems were so advanced that most humans could barely understand them. But Jake had the network connection, and he could translate between human and Guardian concepts. Dr. Blake led teams of scientists in studying Guardian biotechnology. They learned how to grow living circuits that could repair themselves and how to create power sources that drew energy from the quantum foam of space itself. The discoveries were amazing, but they came with a price. Every human who worked closely with Guardian technology began to change. It's not dangerous, Jake assured Captain Hayes. The network is just making us more compatible with the technology. We're becoming something new, something better. But not everyone was comfortable with the changes. Some crew members reported strange dreams, and others claimed they could hear voices in their minds. A few asked to be transferred off the ship, afraid of what they might become. Jake understood their fear, but he also knew they had no choice. Through the network, he could see the Devourer scout ships getting closer. They were unlike anything. In human experience, creatures of living shadow that move through space like predators stalking prey. We need more ships, Jake told Captain Hayes. The Phoenix Dawn alone won't be enough. Earth Command is sending a fleet, she replied, but they won't arrive for another month. Then we'll have to wake up more Guardians, Jake said. I can reach the nearest station from here. It's only 3 light years away. Working with Valdris, Jake sent activation signals to dormant Guardian stations throughout the sector. It was exhausting work. Each station required a different approach, and Jake had to pour his energy into the network to reach across the vast distances of space. But it worked. One by one, Guardian stations began to wake up. Jake could feel each awakening like a light coming on in a dark room. The network was growing stronger, and with it, the galaxy's hope for survival. There's something else, Jake said during one of their planning sessions. The network is showing me things. Patterns in the Devourer attacks. They're not just random. Monsters, they're organized, intelligent, they have a plan. Valdris nodded. The Devourers are ancient, older than the Guardians. They have been waiting for this moment for centuries. They know we are few and they think we are weak. Are we? Captain Hayes asked. Jake smiled. They've never fought humans before. They don't know what we're capable of when we're backed into a corner. As the first Devourer scout ships entered the outer system, Jake felt the network pulse with readiness. The Guardian stations were armed and ready, their weapons charged with power that could destroy planets. But Jake knew that weapons alone would not win this war. The real battle would be won by the partnership between humans and Guardians, by the combination of ancient wisdom and human determination. The Devourers were about to learn that the galaxy had new protectors, and these protectors would not go quietly into the dark. The first Devourer scout ship appeared on the Phoenix Dawn's sensors like a shadow given form. Jake watched from the bridge as the dark shape moved through space, its hull seeming to bend light around it. Through the Guardian network, he could feel the ancient hatred radiating from the creature. "It's not just a ship," Jake said. "It's alive. The whole thing is one giant organism." Valdris stood beside him, its crystalline form glowing brighter as it accessed the network. The Devourers grow their ships from their own bodies. Each vessel is part of the collective consciousness that drives their species. Captain Hayes studied the readings. "It's scanning our defenses, learning about us." "Let it learn," Jake said. "We have a few surprises of our own." Over the past weeks, Jake had worked with human engineers to create something new. They had taken Guardian technology and combined it with human innovation, creating hybrid systems that were more powerful than either could achieve alone. The Guardian weapons were ancient and efficient, but human creativity had made them adaptable and unpredictable. "All stations report ready," Kate announced from her position at the tactical console. "The Guardian defense grid is online." Jake closed his eyes and reached out through the network. He could feel the other Guardian stations throughout the sector, their weapons charging with power that had not been used for centuries. But he could also feel something else. The network was different now. It was no longer just Guardian technology. Human minds were part of it, bringing new ideas and new ways of thinking. "They're not expecting us to fight back," Jake said. "The last time the Devourers fought Guardians, we were alone. This time we have partners." The scout ship moved closer, its dark hull pulsing with energy. Through the network, Jake could sense its hunger. The creature could smell the life energy of the billions of humans in the sector, and it wanted to feed. "Target acquired," Kate reported. "Shall I fire?" "Not yet," Jake said. "Let it get closer. I want to show it something." When the Devourer ship was within range, Jake activated the new hybrid weapons. The Guardian energy beams were enhanced with human targeting systems and powered by quantum reactors that human engineers had learned to build. The beams lanced out across space, striking the scout ship with devastating force, but the ship did not explode. Instead, it began to change. Its hull cracked and bled a dark substance that looked like liquid shadow. The creature screamed, a sound that Jake felt in his mind rather than heard with his ears. "It's calling for help," Valdris said. "The scout is transmitting everything it has learned back to the main swarm." "Good," Jake replied. "I want them to know what they're facing." The wounded scout ship tried to retreat, but Jake was ready for that too. He activated the Guardian containment field, a web of energy that trapped the creature in space. The ship thrashed and fought, but it could not escape. "Now what?" Captain Hayes asked. Jake smiled. "Now we teach it about humans." Through the network, Jake reached out to the trapped creature. It was a terrible experience, like touching something cold and slimy that wanted to eat his soul. But Jake had grown up on Earth, a world that had tried to kill him every day. He was used to dealing with things that wanted to hurt him. The Devourer's mind was ancient and cruel, filled with memories of countless worlds it had consumed. But Jake's mind was different. It was young and flexible, shaped by a lifetime of solving problems and fixing things that seemed impossible to repair. "You made a mistake," Jake told the creature. "You think humans are just another species too? Be consumed, but we're not. We're builders, we're fighters. And we never give up." The creature tried to break free from Jake's mental contact, but he held on. Through the network, he showed the Devourer what humans were capable of. He showed it the cities they had built, the wars they had survived, the way they had spread across the galaxy despite every obstacle. "We're not just food," Jake said. "We're your replacement." The scout ship's struggles grew weaker as Jake's message sank in. The creature had expected to find the same tired old Guardians it had fought centuries ago. Instead, it found something new, something that combined ancient power with young determination. "The main swarm is coming," Valdris warned. "Hundreds of ships, all converging on this sector." "Then we'll be ready for them," Jake said. "Pass the word to all Guardian stations. Tell them to prepare for full activation." Across the galaxy, the Guardian network came to life. Stations that had been dormant for centuries suddenly blazed with power, but they were not the same as before. Each station now had human partners, engineers and scientists who had learned to work with Guardian technology. The hybrid systems that Jake had helped create were being installed on ships throughout human space. Guardian biotechnology was being grown in Earth's laboratories, and human weapons were being enhanced with ancient power sources. The two species were becoming something greater than either could be alone. "They're here," Kate announced. The main Devourer swarm appeared at the edge of the system like a dark cloud. There were hundreds of them, each one a living ship filled with hunger and hatred. They moved toward the human worlds like a plague of locusts, ready to consume everything in their path, but they were not facing the same galaxy they had conquered centuries ago. Jake stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Dawn, his mind connected to the Guardian network, his human determination flowing through ancient channels of power. "All stations," Jake said, his voice carrying across the galaxy through the network. "This is Jake Morrison, first human Guardian. The enemy is here, but we are ready. Show them what happens when humans and Guardians fight together." The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. The Devourers came expecting to find a few broken Guardians and some primitive humans. Instead, they found a galaxy that had learned to fight back, guided by a species that had never learned the meaning of surrender. Jake had started as a simple engineer who liked to fix broken things. Now he was something more, a bridge between two species and a symbol of what they could accomplish together. The Deathworlder had repaired more than just an alien Guardian. He had repaired the hope of an entire galaxy. And as the Guardian weapons lit up the darkness and human ships charged into battle alongside their ancient partners, Jake knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The age of the Guardians was over. The age of the human Guardians had begun.